All right, in this video, we are going to be doing a little bit more solving practice, mostly by factoring. So we're going to do just a bunch of examples. I want you to try and solve each one first because you know enough to be able to do it. There's just like some tricks in there. So I'm going to explain the tricks as we get to them, but I want you to try it first. Okay? So example 1 is going to be n squared plus 3n minus 12 equals 6. Solve it, please. Press play when you're done. All right, so did you start by noticing that this equals 6 instead of 0? Big deal. Got to make sure it equals 0. So your very first step is to subtract 6 from both sides. N squared plus 3n minus 18 equals 0. And then you solve this one using a box and diamond. I'm going to do that, speed it up. So when I finished solving, I got n minus 3 times n plus 6 equals 0. I remember I'm trying to find the value that would make each part equal 0. So 3 minus 3 equals 0. And negative 6 plus 6 equals 0. So my answers are n equals 3 and negative 6. The lesson here was be sure to set the quadratic equal to 0 when you start. All right, next example. Give this one a try. So hopefully you started by following the lesson from before and adding 7 to both sides. And now, we could throw this straight into a box and diamond, but we remember that one of the other tricks is to always make sure to remove the greatest common factor. And here, 7, 14, and 7 definitely have a common factor of 7. So I'm going to do that next. 7. And then x squared minus 2x plus 1 equals 0. And then this guy in the middle I can put into a box and diamond. So this means that my answer, or my fully factored form, would be 7 on the outside, x minus 1, x minus 1 equals 0. Now, this is one of those perfect squares from the other video, right? I can also hopefully just see that this means it would take a 1 there or a 1 there to work. Well, that's the same number. So this is one where there's only one answer. X equals 1. You could try it out if you wanted to, solving this one as a perfect square. So I'll just do it over here. This is like a little side note. So that would be 7 and then x minus 1 squared equals 0. I would divide by 7. X minus 1 squared still equals 0 because 0 divided by 7 is still 0. I would take the square root. Square root of 0 is 0. So x minus 1 equals 0. I would add 1 to both sides and get x equals 1. Same answer, 2 different ways. The lesson on this one is don't forget to look for a GCF, if there is one. All right, next example. We have 7x squared plus 2x equals 0. Solve, please. All right, this one already equals 0. Woohoo! It also is missing a c term, and we remember on the last lesson, or the last example, we wanted to look for a GCF, and we do have one here. 7 and 2 don't have any common factors, but they both have an x. So I can just pull out an x to get 7x plus 2 equals 0. And there's nothing more to factor there. That is like a nicely factored term. So we don't actually need a box and diamond. My lesson here is don't do a box and diamond unless you have to. Don't do a box and diamond unless you need it. It's much faster without, if you can figure it out without. Now, I need to figure out what would make this equal 0. Well, there's nothing else going on there, but if that was a 0, that would work, right? 0 times whatever's in here would work. Or 7x plus 2 equals 0. That one's a little messy. I'll do it out. 7x equals negative 2. X equals negative 2 sevenths. So x equals negative 2 sevenths or 0, because you also could have had a 0 there. So 2 lessons on this one. If you have an x by itself, when you do zero product property, that's going to be a 0. That does get to be an answer. If one factor is just an x, then x equals 0 is an answer. All right, now 4x squared minus 25 equals 0. Go ahead and solve. All right, so there are 2 different ways to solve this one. Okay, first let's do the factoring way. So I get 2x plus 5 and 2x minus 5 equals 0. I solve both from each of them equals 0, and I get x equals negative 2.5 and x equals 2.5. Okay? There's an easier way. So the other way, this was by factoring. The other way is by taking a square root. So if we have 4x squared minus 25 equals 0, I can't just take a square root of this whole thing. It doesn't work that way, but I can add 25 to both sides. 4x squared equals 25. And then I divide by 4. So I get x squared equals, and 25 divided by 4 is 6.25. And then I take the square root of both sides. And a handy calculator lets me know that that equals 2.5. But wait, over here, they told me there was also a negative 2.5. Well, that makes sense, right? Because a negative 2.5 squared would also equal 6.25. So this is one of those situations where we need to take the plus or minus in front of the square root. So we need to do 2.5 or x equals negative 2.5 because we're doing the positive option that could go into that square and the negative option that could go into that square. So whenever you're doing the process of undoing a square root, that's when you need the plus or the minus in front of that square root sign. All right, last example. X squared plus 2x plus 5 equals 2. Give it a try. Only take a minute or two. All right, did you start by subtracting 2 from both sides? It's the right thing to do. Can this one be solved by taking a square root? Nope. Is there a greatest common factor? Nope. Got to just throw this into a box and diamond. X squared, 3, 3x squared, and 2x. So what are 2 numbers that would multiply to 3x but add to 2? Well, in order to multiply to 3, it would have to be 3 and 1, or 1 and 3. There's not really many options there. In order to multiply to a positive, they would either both have to be positive or both have to be negative. But none of those are going to add to 2. So this is not factorable. That is not the same as saying that there is no solution to this problem. There might be. We don't know that yet. We don't know enough to know that. By the end of this unit, you will. But right now, we don't. So I just want to remind you that not factorable still shows up and let you know that that's not the same as no solution. So not no solution. It could be no solution, but we don't know that yet. All right, practice problem. All right, please solve. 3x squared minus 16x minus 7 equals 5. Submit your answer to this one into Canvas, and I'll check it for you.